My left leg was amputated. When the accident happened, I pushed John out of harm's way. He emerged unscathed while my left leg got caught in the wheel. Out of gratitude, he married me while I was still wheelchair-bound. For over a decade of marriage, we supported each other through life's challenges. Though occasional storms arose, I considered our life together stable and content. Until my death from respiratory failure caused by chronic myelitis. He sat by my grave murmuring, "You sacrificed a leg to save me. And I've been chained to your side all these years. Now that you're gone, I'm finally free. We're even in this lifetime. If there's another, let's never meet again across mountains and rivers." He burned our marriage certificate before the tombstone. 3 months later, he remarried with great fanfare. The bride was his former first love, Lucy. During ring exchange, he choked up embracing her. "You and our daughter suffered too long." When I reopened my eyes, I'd returned to the accident day. This time, I'd respect his wishes. Summer sunlight glared painfully as heat waves rose from the pavement. My trembling gaze lowered, intact legs stood firmly on the ground. Tears spilled uncontrollably at this long-lost sensation of solid earth beneath my feet. The man texting beside me looked up startled. "Why are you crying?" John asked, his youthful face still radiant with untarnished vitality. At 22, he retained that crisp brightness in his eyes, not yet shadowed by future weariness. I'd nearly forgotten how dazzling he looked before our marriage soured. His brow furrowed slightly at my scrutiny, that barely perceptible tension I'd learned to dread in our past life. "You're still angry about the jail incident?" He reached to wipe my tears. "I've told you countless times that bastard tried to assault Lucy. I had to smash the bottle." Stepping back from his touch, I interrupted coldly, "No explanations needed. Your choices are yours alone." His face blanked momentarily before tightening. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Exactly what it sounds like." I glanced at my unscarred legs. "By the way, the 57,170 yuan I paid for your bail and victim's medical bills, that was my student loan repayment fund. I'll need it back promptly. In our previous life, I'd been shocked to hear model student John brawl with street thugs. The golden boy praised by teachers. The student council star who never raised his voice, detained at a police station. After paying his fines and signing release papers, I'd brought him home. When I saw John clearly, I froze in shock. Disheveled with bruised cheeks, his right sleeve torn and hands bearing scab wounds. This broken figure bore little resemblance to the John I'd known throughout college. He began explaining frantically, "Lucy and her friends got harassed by a drunk at the bar. The guy tried forcing himself on her when Michael and I intervened. We couldn't just stand by. I found it odd he'd suddenly visit bars with friends. Yet his earnest nature left me little doubt. Though dating, we maintained personal space. Anyone should help a girl in distress. Let alone Lucy from their high school, now our university's music performance major. While we weren't close, her grace and beauty left favorable impressions. What troubled me was John smashing a bottle over the drunk's head. Thankfully the case settled through mediation, though police curiously omitted the assault allegation, labeling it mere brawl. The truth only surfaced decades later during Michael's housewarming party. 2 months before my death, my chronic myelitis-induced nerve pain and PTSD had worsened, leaving me withdrawn. While guests mingled, I retreated to the moonlit garden, fingers absently tracing my prosthetic leg. Laughter spilled through an open window as Michael's voice carried, "How do you tolerate Emily's icy demeanor?" "John? She acts like we offended her tonight." John murmured apologies as another chimed in, "Disabled people don't get free passes for selfishness. You threw away Lucy, your perfect high school match, for this haggard cripple?" "Insanity." Michael exhaled smoke. "Enough. Lucy betrayed him first with that rich upperclassman. John only sought Emily because she resembles Lucy. Then you idiots egged Lucy to rekindle things after her breakup. That's why she staged that bar incident with the drunk, texting John those photos. His outburst landed him in jail until Emily bailed him out with lawyers and compensation. Silence fell before someone scoffed, "So what?" John married her, debt paid. Hidden in shadows. My throat constricted. The glowing cigarette in John's hand pulsed like dying fireflies as he remained silent. A tidal wave of despair crashed over me. So this was the truth? From their fragmented conversation, I finally pieced together the whole story. Lucy and John had been each other's first love. The golden boy and the beautiful girl, everyone said they belonged in the pages of a young adult novel. But during college, Lucy met an upperclassman who drove a Ferrari. On the day they broke up, John drowned his sorrows in alcohol. He waited outside Lucy's dorm for 3 days, never receiving any explanation. Less than a year later, Lucy's relationship with the upperclassman ended. She started reaching out to John, wanting to rekindle their romance, except by then, John and I were officially dating. Lucy wouldn't give up. Every morning she'd wait outside the boys' dorm with breakfast. She'd slip perfumed love letters into John's backpack through Michael. For an entire year, John remained unmoved. On her birthday, Lucy booked a hotel room and wore new lingerie, a farewell gift to her youth. She called it. She promised this would be their last encounter. John never showed. Drunk at a bar, Lucy video called John while a stranger's hands crept beneath her low-cut top. When John rushed over, he found her being manhandled in a booth, skirt hitched up. Blind with rage, John yanked Lucy away and fought the man. Pinned down, he grabbed a bottle and smashed it against the man's head. You know the rest. That single bottle nearly destroyed John's future. The victim refused to settle, determined to send John to prison. I contacted a lawyer I knew from translation gigs, begging him to help. For a week, I groveled at the hospital until the man finally agreed to drop charges for 50,000 yuan plus medical fees. John didn't want his parents involved, so I paid using my scholarship and translation earnings. The car accident that took my leg happened as we left the police station. John got a call and suddenly darted across the street to a convenience store. When that black sedan swerved toward him, I didn't think, just shoved him out of the way. My left leg got caught under the wheels. The damage was too severe, amputation became necessary. After surgery, John clutched my hand, tearfully vowing to care for me forever. I dropped out of grad school, spending days staring at the ceiling of the shabby apartment John rented. My only outings were physical therapy sessions with him. After graduation, John bypassed job hunting to start a media company with friends. He took the remaining 800,000 yuan from my accident compensation as startup funds. My rehabilitation treatments stopped abruptly. Years later, my primary physician told me that if I'd completed all my rehabilitation treatments, my chronic myelitis might not have progressed. Much later, John took me home to meet his parents. When his parents learned their son's fiancée was a woman missing a leg, their faces darkened. They didn't bother with basic courtesy, publicly pointing at me and shouting insults, calling me shameless. A cripple, a burden dragging down their son. I remained numb through their tirade. What choice did I have? I'd lost my leg saving John. The amputation left me with severe PTSD. Nights became endless cycles of terror and despair. In my condition, John was my best option. How dare they demand I let go? Never. I'd rather die. My recovery faltered. Chronic myelitis ravaged me, hair turned white before 40. Face aged decades. John hired 2 live-in nurses and deposited $2,000 monthly in my account. He rarely came home. And when he did early, stayed locked in his study till midnight. Always busy. Always traveling. The night Michael hosted his housewarming, my PTSD triggered violent tremors and labored breathing, landing me in ER. I demanded answers from John. He kept avoiding me. 2 months later, I died from myelitis-induced respiratory failure. John never came. My spirit lingered. I watched nurses drape the sheet over me, Saw dawn light creep through windows. Witnessed John's belated arrival. His expression held unsettling relief. After my funeral, he lit a cigarette at my fresh grave. Emily, he said, you lost your left leg saving me. And I've been chained to you for over a decade. Now you're gone. I'm finally free. We're even. If there's another life, let's never meet again. He burned our marriage certificate on the grave. I followed John to a luxury villa. A silk-clad woman ran out barefoot, throwing herself into his arms. Lucy, don't grieve too much, darling, she murmured, embracing him. Now that she's gone, our family can finally be whole. He nodded silently. That evening, I saw their sophomore year daughter. We'd only been married 15 years. My stable marriage had been rotting for ages. Perhaps my raging hatred showed. John softened his tone, coaxing, don't be angry. I'll transfer the money soon. Let's get your favorite pastries. HM? I jerked away from his outstretched hand. He froze mid-reach. Phone suddenly ringing. Checking the caller ID. He shot me a panicked glance. Wait here. Emily. I need to take this. Then. He cupped the phone and stepped aside. Hey. Lucy. His lowered voice carried on the wind. Don't worry. I've handled everything. I'm out of detention already. The faint flush at his earlobes deepened as he murmured into the receiver. What brand of tampons do you use? Okay. Stay in your dorm if you're cramping. I'll bring the tampons and painkillers over soon. When John turned back, residual tenderness lingered around his eyes. He cleared his throat awkwardly. Emily. Something came up. Maybe you head back first? I'll bring desserts to your dorm later. My gaze flickered to the flood of notifications lighting up John's screen. Don't bother. I've got plans tonight. He exhaled imperceptibly. All right. Be safe going back. Under the blood-orange sunset, I watched him practically sprint across the intersection. The phantom pain in my missing leg flared as I suddenly shouted. John! He turned with that familiar crooked smile. What's up, Emily? I stared at the man who'd knelt weeping at my hospital bed in another life, swearing eternal devotion. The dying light painted his silhouette crimson. Watch your step crossing streets. I said flatly. Wouldn't want you to become roadkill. John laughed. Sunlight glinting off his braces. Relax. Babe. I'm indestructible. The squeal of brakes came 12 seconds later. Metal crunched. A body thudded against pavement. Screams erupted as crowds surged toward the intersection. My fingernails carved half moons into my palms until the nausea overwhelmed me, bile burning my throat as I doubled over. I stumbled into my dorm reeking of vomit and death. My roommate's anxious eyes met mine. Emily. Slumping at my desk. I drained a water bottle in desperate gulps. The icy shock barely numbed the fire in my chest. Check this. She slid her phone over. The campus forum headline screamed, Finance Major John seriously injured in Cultural Plaza crash. Pixelated blood pools bloomed across the screen. The landline's shrill ring made us both jump. An unknown number flashed as I hit speakerphone. The woman's voice on the phone came through urgently. Hello. Is this Emily? This is City General Hospital's ER. John was in a car accident with severe injuries. We need you or his family to come immediately. I frowned. Shouldn't the hospital contact his school or family directly? Why call me? I'm sorry. I replied. John and I are just classmates. You should reach out to his family. The voice hesitated. You're his only emergency contact. Could you notify his family? I don't have their information. I need to go. I hung up decisively. 3 stunned faces turned toward me. Mouths agape as if seeing me anew. Ignoring them, I dragged my heavy legs to the bathroom. 4 days. Classmates had been huddling in whispers that died when I approached. Let them gossip. I attended lectures. Ate alone. Studied in the library. On the fourth morning, Michael blocked me in the hallway, anger tightening his features. Emily, have you no heart? John's lying in the hospital with a shattered femur. The doctors say he'll probably be disabled. Just a lame leg? My voice stayed flat. I lost my entire left leg last time. His face twisted. Our whole class visited him, even his rival Zach from student council. But you? His girlfriend hasn't even called. Are you made of stone? I rolled my eyes. Maybe Zach went to gloat. You. Michael sputtered, momentarily speechless. Meeting his glare, I said, you should be notifying Lucy. Not me. His expression froze as the bell rang. Shouldering past him, I strode into class. Emily. He spat behind me. You're the coldest person I've ever met. My lips curled in a bitter smile. Cold? Compared to you hypocritical vultures. I'm practically warm. Still. I went to the hospital. The ward reeked of antiseptic and decay. John's right leg bulged under blood-stained bandages, severe infection delaying surgery. The gaunt man propped on pillows brightened when he saw me. Emily, you came. His cracked voice held desperate hope. He jerked upright, hissing in pain. Then his gaze dropped to my intact left leg. His eyes widened, trembling. Silence thickened as he stared at my limb. I sat by his bed, placing my tote bag across my knees. Emily. His voice broke. Why didn't you save me that day? You could have stopped it. I know you could. His voice was soft, yet trembling with barely restrained emotion. My chest tightened as bitter anguish flooded through my limbs. John, had he really come back too? I stared at him coldly without answering. My gaze made him shift uncomfortably, his lips twisting into a sneer. After all these days since my accident, our precious Miss Emily finally remembers to visit. I need to focus on finals before summer break starts next month. I replied evenly. John frowned in confusion, clearly not following. This summer I'm traveling abroad with friends instead of working. You need to return the $57,170 you owe me. His eyes widened incredulously, bloodshot veins spreading across the whites. You came here, just to demand money? His voice cracked. Emily, do you even have a heart? Did you ever truly love me? I nearly laughed at the absurdity. Love him? How do you think I lost my leg last lifetime? By choice? Memories flashed of Michael exposing how John used me as Lucy's replacement. Of John's confession at my grave. This human trash didn't deserve love. John. I sneered. Did you really think I'd stay your fool forever? He stiffened. When have I ever? You took care of me for 17 years? I cut him off. Those first 2 years pre-marriage, I hopped around our apartment on crutches alone. After we married and you got rich, you hired a maid and called it care. Be honest, how many times did you actually tend to me? His face flushed crimson. I was working, building our future. Those $20,000 monthly allowances didn't magically appear. Working? I mocked. Fucking Lucy at Bayview Villa counts as work. Attending your freshman daughter's parent-teacher conferences qualifies as business trips? At Lucy's name, John paled. After strained silence, he chuckled darkly. You want to know what I felt during sex? Seeing that mangled stump? His voice turned venomous. Disgust. Pure revulsion. I needed pills to stomach touching you. If that's fooling you, guilty as charged. Each word stabbed like poisoned blades. I clenched my jaw against trembling, refusing to let tears fall. Not here. Not before this trash. I stood abruptly, slapping him hard enough to snap his head sideways. You fucking bastard. Why didn't that car finish you off? He worked his bleeding mouth. Adam's apple bobbing. I inhaled shakily. No more talk of past debts or rescues. Two things today, we're through. And you're paying me back. Now. From now on. We're done. I stood by the hospital bed, arms crossed, watching coldly as John's face darkened while he called relatives and friends to borrow money. When the Alipay notification chimed for the $57,170 transfer, I blocked all his contacts right in front of him. I turned to leave when his icy voice stopped me. Emily, let's see how well you'll survive this life without me. With your scheming father and that stepmother of yours plotting day and night. Don't come crawling back when you regret this. My steps faltered. Visions of those two vile creatures surfaced, the woman who'd been Mom's cousin. She'd cared for Mom during her late-stage cervical cancer, only to end up in Dad's bed. After Mom died, I became the thorn in her flesh. She schemed daily to kick me out before I turned 14, showering all her attention on her own daughter from previous marriage. Dad turned a blind eye. Even tried forcing me to quit school and work under her influence. Of course I refused. My stellar high school entrance exam scores earned me a tuition waiver. Scholarships. Selling Mom's gold bracelet, that's how I scraped through 3 years of high school. John knew all about my toxic family. Knew how I loathed those two. Yet he deliberately used them to provoke me. White-hot rage flooded my veins. Whirling around, I marched back and slapped him hard across the face, spitting in his contorted features. Ugh. Want me back? It's high noon, stop daydreaming. You're just as rotten as those two bastards. He lunged at me, 4 tubes tangling, only to crash onto the floor with his injured leg. Mily. He roared like a wounded beast. I stared down coldly at his crumpled form before slamming the door shut. Though I'd severed all ties, campus gossip still reached me. His post-op infection led to sepsis, a month in ICU. His parents withdrew him from school. Lucy became the devoted girlfriend, posting their hospital bed kiss photo with her virginal veil. The campus forum romanticized their love story. I had no time for such dramas. Between advanced interpretation exams, grad school prep, and reveling in my healed leg's freedom to run, my days drowned in BBC News streams and TED Talk transcripts. Even my dreams echoed with simultaneous interpretation drills. John's name faded beneath academic tides. We crossed paths again during senior year's winter, days after my grad school entrance exams. I sat by the artificial lake sipping hot cocoa, watching captive seagulls dip and swirl. A heated argument erupted nearby. John, why aren't you holed up in your ratty apartment? Look at yourself, you're scaring off my friends. A woman's voice dripped with disgust. I turned toward the sound. Behind the bare kapok tree, I spotted 2 familiar figures. In the bitter winter chill, John Wilson wore nothing but a crumpled flannel shirt. His emaciated frame hunched over a cane made him look utterly pitiful. John's eyes burned red as he sneered. Friends? You're calling yourselves friends? You were practically devouring each other's faces. Don't give me that bullshit. Lucy. I only took a semester off. And you couldn't wait to cheat behind my back. No wonder you've been ignoring my calls and texts. If I hadn't come here today, I'd never have caught you whoring around. Lucy rolled her eyes. Since when do you get to control my life? Should I chain myself to a cripple like you? If I'd known you'd end up permanently disabled, I never would have dated you. My parents would break my legs if I brought home some gimp. You're disgusted by me? John trembled violently, cane clattering to the ground as he shouted hoarsely. Who sacrificed his health for you? That truck didn't hit me because I was chasing rainbows. Then call the police. Lucy's voice turned arctic. Go ahead. See if they'll arrest me. That driver was the real victim here. You're the idiot who walked into traffic. Stay away from me. John. We're done. She strode off without glancing back. John collapsed sideways like a marionette with cut strings. I watched the entire spectacle with cold amusement, my lips curling in contempt. As he struggled to rise, Our eyes locked across the frozen quad. He froze mid-motion, shock etching his gaunt face. Mondays 8 a.m. Class found me juggling steaming pork buns and soy milk while slipping into the lecture hall. Shui Yan slid into the adjacent seat, eyes sparkling with gossip. Emily, she whispered, nudging my elbow. Have you heard? John's art school girlfriend got caught banging some jock from the sports academy. She barely contained her glee. They checked into a love hotel yesterday. John tried fighting the guy but Shui Yan mimed a limp. Hospital round 2. Cops dragged all 3 to the station. Crazy, right? Squeezing my wrist, she asked. Don't you feel vindicated? I smiled faintly. They got what they deserved. Atta girl, Shui Yan beamed. You've been ghosting through life since the breakup. Trust me, decent guys aren't extinct yet. Her kindness stood out starkly against classmates who'd branded me a heartless opportunist for leaving John post-accident. Speaking of victories, she changed tack, passing the advanced interpretation exam on first try. Legendary. Dinner's on me tonight, your pick. Winter break arrived swiftly. By finals week, our dorm resembled a luggage depot. After helping Shui Yan load her suitcases into a cab, I returned to find our room stripped bare. The hollow silence echoed with memories, nervous introductions during freshman orientation, late-night cram sessions, whispered secrets under shared blankets. Come spring, we'd scatter like dandelion seeds across internship opportunities and graduate programs. Alone amidst vacant beds, I traced the initials we'd carved into closet doors. The ache surprised me not for lost love, but for this fragile chapter closing. The next time we met was probably during my thesis defense. I splashed water on my face and stood before the mirror for a long time, feeling utterly dejected. Grabbing my canvas bag, I headed downstairs to buy milk and groceries from the supermarket. It would close in 2 days anyway. As I stepped out of the dormitory building, I spotted a familiar figure leaning on crutches by the walkway. John turned toward me, his face lighting up with pathetic eagerness. He hobbled forward using his crutches. Emily, you came down. I need to talk to you. I glared coldly. Move. You're blocking my oxygen. His eyes grew misty with that nauseating puppy dog look. Please don't be like this. I know you have nowhere to go for winter break. I rented that apartment from before. Let me help you move your things. We could spend New Year's together. I massaged my temples. Was this idiot seriously thinking I'd feel nostalgic about that prison of a studio? John, when will you stop? Weren't you the one who vowed if there's another life, let's never meet again across mountains and seas? Who are you performing this tragic lover act for now? As I tried to push past him, his hand clamped around my wrist. I was wrong. A complete idiot. I take it all back. He actually slapped himself twice. Emily, I regret everything. Let's get back together. I swear I'll treat you right this time. This was beyond absurd. I yanked my arm free. Get your filthy hands off me. What gives you the right to touch me? You're being cruel. He whimpered, tears welling up. After being married for over a decade, how can you feel nothing? The audacity. He'd never questioned his own cruelty when he'd made my previous life hell. Seeing him plant himself stubbornly in my path, I aimed a vicious kick at his good leg. He yelped, his injured leg buckling. After staggering awkwardly, he crashed to the pavement. I shrugged. I warned you to get lost. Since you insisted on restraining me, consider this self-defense. Lying on the ground, he gazed up with that insufferable martyred expression. I don't blame you. If hurting me makes you feel better, do it. Kick me however many times you need, just forgive me. Disgusted by how he seemed to enjoy the abuse, I simply stepped over him. By late February, My postgraduate entrance exam results arrived, over 20 points higher than my best mock test. Playing it safe given my actual capabilities. I'd applied to a solid second-tier university's hot fintech program instead of top schools. During the intense entrance examination preparation, John kept harassing me for months. Each time, I'd either beat him up, call security, or dial 911. Eventually, he stopped appearing. The next I heard of him was 6 months into my graduate program. That day, I had just left the finance lab when I received a voice message from Shui Yen. She told me Lucy Smith and John Wilson had gotten married, inviting many of our classmates. I asked curiously, weren't they broken up before? Then I heard an explosive story. During her internship, Lucy worked as a music teacher at a private elite elementary school. She ended up having an affair with a student's father. When the man's wife discovered this, she leaked their explicit car photos and racy chat logs online. Since the man was an executive at a listed company, hashtags like hashtag executive and intern teacher's car scandal and hashtag elite school teacher homewrecker exposed trended overnight. Shortly after this scandal, Lucy was drugged while walking home one night. She woke up to find her hands covered in blood. Medical exams revealed both her wrist tendons had been surgically severed. Though she regained basic mobility, playing instruments like piano became impossible. So John seized this vulnerable moment? I asked Shui Yen. Exactly. She replied. John sought Lucy out, vowing to care for her forever. They just had this lavish wedding my boyfriend attended. I chuckled. They really are soulmates across lifetimes. After grad school, I joined an international finance firm through campus recruitment, shuttling frequently between Shanghai and Hong Kong. My schedule grew hectic, yet I still found time to date an AI major I'd met during my master's program. On Valentine's Day, I video called my boyfriend after work in Hong Kong. Hanging up past midnight, I noticed over 100 unread messages in our college group chat discussing Lucy and John. Scrolling up, I found a forwarded news article. Housewife poisons family after enduring domestic abuse featured a mugshot of Lucy in orange detention clothes. Her interview revealed 3 years of hell, caring for her disabled husband and difficult in-laws. Even during pregnancy, her mother-in-law forced her to do chores. When Lucy asked to rest, the older woman shoved her into a table, causing a miscarriage. Her husband called her useless for losing the baby, beating her after the DNC procedure. The abuse escalated into sadistic rituals where he derived pleasure from her terrified begging. Attempts to escape or seek help only brought worse beatings. Finally broken, Lucy bought rat poison. She methodically laced her tormentors' meals until her mother-in-law collapsed from toxic shock, exposing the truth. Reading this, I felt neither schadenfreude nor pity. True closure means their drama no longer sparks any emotion. 18 months into the management trainee program, I finally passed my probation review. When HR handed me the offer letter with the base annual salary, I instinctively held my breath. This didn't even include the performance bonus I might receive at year-end. Life had truly brightened. I had a healthy body, a satisfying job, and a like-minded partner. In my previous life, I'd been trapped in agony, tormented by physical suffering. But thankfully, I now stood at the threshold of a brand new existence. The wind carried biting cold and liberation from across the shore. Yet sometimes in the dead of night, I'd feel an inexplicable void in my chest. Until one overtime evening, amidst distant city lights, I suddenly remembered my father and stepmother's repulsive faces. We hadn't spoken in 6 or 7 years. It was time I showed some concern for their family. During my vacation, I returned to my hometown. Coincidentally or not, my arrival coincided with my stepsister's engagement party. The entire family clearly adored her fiancé. My father and stepmother would have wagged non-existent tails skyward. The groom was a factory heir, tall, handsome, and wealthy. No wonder my stepsister gazed at him with love-struck eyes. My return barely registered with my family, their indifference unchanged except when bragging about their daughter's wealthy catch. During my stay, I investigated the fiancé's family factory, discovering their job posting for a receptionist. I hired a stunning amateur actress through casting websites. I crafted an elaborate script. She'd apply for the position and seduce my dear stepsister's fiancé. If she successfully destroyed their engagement, I'd add $200,000 to her payment. Of course, I never suggested illegal methods. Any voluntary seduction would be her own choice. The girl didn't disappoint. Within 3 months, rumors spread about the couple's breakup. 2 months later, she sent me an $8,888 red envelope and 2 marriage certificates. The bride was her, the groom unmistakably my stepsister's ex. Before I could process this, her video call flashed. "Sister, accept the gift." Her cheerful voice chirped immediately. "Jason and I are getting married next month. Will you be my bridesmaid?" I stammered before recovering. "Right. I'll transfer your bonus." "Same bank account?" She cut me off. "I should thank you for introducing us. Keep the money." "But I'm pregnant. Will you be our baby's godmother?" The summer sun glared painfully. She added meaningfully, "If you ever need professional actors in the future, I know people." After a pause, I smiled. "Know any older ones? Mid-40s to 50s? Her enthusiastic thumps echoed through the phone. "Absolutely. I'll send wedding details. You must come." Some might call my stepsister innocent, but when her mother climbed into my father's bed, making my terminally ill mother vomit blood, when she occupied my bedroom and threw my belongings into dumpsters like trash, when she led school bullies in calling me sewer rat, no one cared about my innocence. If her mother could steal my father, why can't others steal her man? From another perspective, I simply helped her dodge a bullet. Any man easily seduced isn't marriage material. When she eventually realizes this, she might even thank me. I would sincerely tell her, "Don't mention it. This is what a sister should do."